Hey guys, divorce is a life-altering event, emotionally, legally, and financially. It is difficult enough when both parties agree, but what happens when your spouse refuses to divorce? Can they stop the process entirely? What legal steps can you take? We will break down whether a divorce can proceed without mutual agreement, the common tactics an uncooperative spouse may use, how to handle delays or outright refusal, what happens if your spouse disappears, and the deeper emotional and psychological aspects of moving on. One of the most common concerns people have is whether their spouse can prevent them from getting a divorce. The short answer is no. In Singapore, you do not need your spouse's consent to obtain a divorce. Under the Women's Charter, a marriage can be dissolved if you can prove that it has irretrievably broken down. The law provides 5 main grounds for this: adultery, unreasonable behavior, desertion, separation for 3 years with mutual consent, or separation for 4 years without consent. If your spouse refuses to cooperate, you can still file for a contested divorce, and the court will determine whether your marriage should be dissolved. While a cooperative spouse makes the process smoother, an uncooperative one cannot stop the divorce, only delay it. A spouse who refuses to divorce may use different strategies to contest or delay the proceedings. One common method is filing a notice to contest and issuing a reply within 28 days. If your spouse disagrees with your reason for divorce, they may argue that the marriage has not irretrievably broken down. They may claim that unreasonable behavior was not serious enough, deny allegations of adultery, or argue that the marriage should continue for the sake of the children or finances. In such cases, the court will schedule a divorce trial where both sides must present evidence and the judge will decide if the divorce should be granted. Another method is ignoring the divorce papers. Some spouses avoid being served, thinking that this will prevent the case from proceeding. However, in Singapore, if your spouse ignores the divorce papers, you can file a request for setting down action for trial, asking the court to proceed even if the other party is unresponsive. You can also apply for substituted service, which allows the divorce papers to be served via email, social media, or newspaper advertisements. This ensures that the spouse cannot escape legal proceedings simply by avoiding documents. Some spouses refuse to attend court hearings as a way to delay or frustrate the process. However, under Singapore law, the court can proceed without their presence if they fail to appear. While their refusal may cause delays, it will not prevent the divorce from happening. Sometimes the situation is even more complicated. What if your spouse has disappeared or cannot be contacted? In Singapore, divorce papers must be personally served to your spouse to notify them of the proceedings. But if they are missing, you can apply for substituted service, which, as I mentioned earlier, allows divorce papers to be served by email, social media, or newspaper advertisements. If all attempts fail, the court may waive the requirement to serve documents through a process called dispensation of service, allowing the divorce to proceed without your spouse's knowledge. This prevents spouses from deliberately going into hiding to avoid a divorce. Divorce is not just a legal process, it is a deeply emotional and spiritual one. When a spouse refuses to divorce, it often stems from fear, attachment, or resistance to change. But let's take a moment to reflect on the nature of impermanence. Many people cling onto relationships not because they are fulfilling, but because of habit, fear of loneliness, or reluctance to face the unknown. However, just as a river does not resist its flow, we too must learn to embrace change when it comes. If your spouse is resisting the divorce, ask yourself what the deeper reason behind their refusal is. Is there a way to resolve this with compassion instead of conflict? Can you move forward without being weighed down by resentment? Holding on to a broken marriage out of anger or fear only prolongs suffering. Just as the clouds cannot hold onto the sky, we must recognize that letting go is sometimes the path to true peace. Divorce is not an end, but a transition. It is a chance to rebuild, to find happiness again, and to create a future free from conflict and resentment. If you are facing a difficult divorce, know that you are not alone. Seek support, whether legal, emotional, or spiritual. The path ahead may be uncertain, but with clarity and wisdom, a new beginning awaits. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.